Hey guys, it's Marshall Tingle with your Superior Ag Insurance Ringside Report for this past week, the week of December 11th through the 17th. So this is about the last week that we could market cattle before the end of the year, and this year's almost came to a close, and I hope it's been a great one for each and every one of us now. But the market did finish off pretty strong for the year. So as far as a whole, we sold 20,637 head of cattle through our auction markets this past week, and that's pretty typical. It's right on par for where we were this time last year. But if you want to compare it to this time last week, we're actually down about 6,000 head, which is kind of to be expected. Sometimes it's hard to get trucks up underneath of them, and at least this time we did have a full week before the Christmas holiday. Now, a few markets will be open this current week that we're in right now, but very, very few. It's very hard to get trucks underneath these cattle and get everything out there and then get your drivers back in time for Christmas. And just about like with Thanksgiving, nobody really wants to start cattle during the holiday time. But like I said, we did have a really good way to close out the week. Feeder cattle were up. They called feeder cattle steady to $4 higher, with instances of sharply higher. And then yearlings were going to be steady to $4 higher. Good demand on that. So let's talk about these numbers real fast. So your 4-weight steer cattle this past week, you're looking at $1.55 to $2.12. And that gap's closing in. We saw $70 and change gaps a couple weeks back. This week it's a little bit closer. More of a gap on your 4-weights than your 5s, but still it's getting a tighter gap. Now your 5-weights this past week, $1.51 to $1.95. That's barely over a 40-cent gap. That's a good sign. Your 5-weights were pretty tight this week. But let's talk about these yearlings. That's what we always get excited about. Yearling cattle steady to $4 higher. Top end on these cattle really, really strong. Your highlights this past week, really good. So let's talk about that real fast. So start off here, 61 head of steers. These are all black steers, 804 pounds on the average, $1.78 smooth. Really nice trade. Now, here's 58 head more, just a hair bigger. These are all black steers as well, 821 pounds on the average, $1.7690. Still pretty strong. And then finish out here on your heavyweights. Here's 120 head of them, a big string of them. All black-coated steers, 865 pounds on the average at $1.7590. So keeping them tight right there. Now, I do want to make a note. There were a few sets of these big yearling cattle that did bring in the $1.66, $7, $68 range. But for the most part, the biggest majority of them are going to fit right in that $1.73 to $1.78 mark. And that's, I'd say, probably 85% of them are going to be in a $1.73 to $1.75. So pretty tight, pretty consistent on these big yearling cattle as we go forward. Let's talk about how that's compared to your CME feeder cattle index. So the CME feeder cattle index this past week was tight as it can be. Very, very little variation throughout the week. It all stayed at $1.79. Just the change shifted. So let's talk about that real fast. So Monday the 12th was as high as it got for the week at 179.97. Tuesday the 13th, 179.46. Wednesday the 14th, 179.50. Thursday the 15th, 179.51. Gained just a little bit. And then by Friday the 16th, closed out the week at 179.94. So pretty consistent all the way through the board. As we close out this year. But like I said, just keep in mind that most of your auction barns this current week that we're in are going to be closed, and what sales are there, your top end's probably going to be good on them. Everything else is just going to be kind of hard to trade. Like I said, it's just a tough time to close out the year to get trucks underneath these cattle, but we did finish off strong as far as I'm concerned. So as always, if you have any questions on an LRP policy, a livestock risk protection policy, or if you're interested in putting in an LRP policy on a set of cattle that you've recently purchased or on your calf crop, feel free to reach out to us. Call Ian Thomas. That's Ian Thomas at Superior Ag Insurance. Ian Thomas, 859-613-2453, or check us out on the web, www.superioragins.com. Thank you so much. Look forward to talking to you soon.